Pitchov Zayin, second paragraph is Dalet.
The line that begins with?
I'm not sure yet. This was Akdome. So the Akdome is what he's explaining right now. We have to really view this Maimer. It's a lot of pieces to it. The question he's addressing now is the question of the Zohar, that the pasuk says, "Who see ata now ki ani hu ve'ein elokim imadi." I am him, am he, and there's no divinity with me. So that double ani is understood because that's the yichud of Havai Elikim of Seviv Mamal. It's all me. Bligvul and Gvul is all me. The Tzimtzum is all me, and that truth is revealed in the Tzimtzum. But the Shaila is Ata. That's Lasid Lovai. Lasid Lovai, when there will be V'niskav Havai Levada B'Yemahu. So what's the diuk Ata? And that was explained at length by contrasting Gan Eden to Tchias HaMeisim. Gan Eden is Chalkus, and Tchias HaMeisim, be'etzem, one essential Giloi, notwithstanding the protim that are secondaries we explained. So after appreciating, therefore, the Giloi, the Atzmizdiki Giloi, Save of Kalam, as he calls it here, of Lasid Lovai, so that underscores the question, so how is this possible now? So to understand that, he prefaced the chiluk, the hefresh between the Srafim and the Chayis and the Ifani. Srafim ba'im dimimal, and they say Kodosh, because they're Elam Habri, Elam Habin, they understand, so there's no Rash. They understand the truth. They understand the truth of Elikus. And they understand it in such a way that it's bepnimius. Masha'inkein, the Chayus, which is Elam Haitzira, and the Ifanim, which is Elam Ha'asiyah. As he brought there, that one of the wheels is Ba'aretz, was on the ground, and the Targum says towards evil, meaning the market of evil. So Mashenkin, because they don't understand in the terms of Bina, but they do acknowledge the truth, but they cannot grasp it because they realize their own distance from the truth, that their own Metzias prevents them from internalizing the truth of Enid Mulvadoi. So this distance engenders the Rash, and the further the distance that they acknowledge that they are from the emes because of their own sense of yeshes, so that engenders a greater Rash. So he started to explain. Now comes the paradox that dafka through this Rash, this distance, so therein they forge the deeper connection, even in the Serafim. So how is this explained? Hinted to, so the Marsh explains based on the Kotetera. No. The Marash looks like that Rash, Reish Ayin Shin. So back in reverse is Seyor or Shar. Both. So Seyor means hairs, and Shar means a gate, and they're opposite things. Because the hair is the minutest amount of chayis. The haraya is just physically, the hairs represent very, very fine, very limited expressions of life, of velikus, tremendous symptom. And the raya is that we don't feel the pain, and explained that that pain is more acutely felt than pleasure. The the hergish is more than tainug. And then there was a footnote that some remember that he said that hepech tainug actually reaches deeper than tainug, which tzarich and there's obviously levels to tainug. And they don't give any other further footnotes, so it's hard to explore this. But we all know this, that pain is immediate and acute. A person will invest more effort, pay more to avoid pain than the flip side, pleasure. That's the first thing he did. The person doesn't want pain. Then he wants pleasure. Give him pleasure together with pain, lav dafka. The pleasures have to be much greater than the pain, but if it's the same field, then, as we say to the bee, not your sting and not your honey. That actually says it. Either honey is pleasurable. If it comes with the bee sting, no, thank you. So the fact that you can cut, the point is just the fact that we cut the hair and they don't even feel pain, which is the most acutest thing that a person feels. A child that's born, pain, hungry, wet, tired, that's what the kid feels. Pleasure, no, there's no tumult with the pleasure, but there's a rush when there's pain. So the fact that we don't feel pain there means that the symptom is tremendous. That's the union of Sa'ad. That's all to say that the chayis and they found him, so they're very distant. There's the Havana Vasoga, meaning to say, not Havana Vasoga, because they cannot justify, cannot explain neatly the truth that there's Eibush that I'm also here. You can't explain that. In Elam Abriya, so they have the Havana Vasoga, as we're learning in Chassidus, we're learning the words they have, they feel it, it's the Ratzon Alien, and all that has beidim. Elam Abriya, the Srafim justify their existence as in the context of the truth of Enyad Mulvadai. You understand it, how both are true. They're not a Metzias, whatever. Bittul b'Metzias. But the Srafim and the Chayis that they found him can't explain this. And they just know one thing, they're a hell of a hester, they're far away. Our whole Metzias is a stira telikus. And therefore, the Gewalt, and the lower, the further, the greater the Gewalt. And therefore, that's the second pirush, that the word Seir is Oisya Shar. And Shar, a gateway, he says, it doesn't mean, in the words of the Maimbi and the Siv, it was a Lashon in Siv Kotzer, and the Siv Kotzer, a narrow path, but rather it means a broad place to both enter and to leave. So we'll start with Zeo Indian. If you look, you have the same layout as I do. So it's Chav Zayin. It's a 2/3 down of the page. The second last words of Zeo Indian. The first words are commercial Sha'ar Rochav. It's about halfway down the ice altogether of that paragraph. So let's continue. So Zering in the Rash Oisius Seyor. So this is the Indian that the Rash spells the letter Seyor Oisius Shar Bavedis Adam, and this is this translation in Avedis Adam. The whole point of them being altogether Hashem creating or bringing into being Safim, Chayis, and they found them, it's all for Avedis Adam. Adam is Bainen, so the person thinks into Sheklola, so Yeraliki Amulubish Bailamis, that the general Yeraliki that's invested in the Elamus or Erev, some Biyoiser, means even the highest levels, Klolis, all of it, it's an Erev, a very limited revelation about Derech Moshel has status like hairs. Klolis means even before we get into the protim, it just means the first gilui post simtzum. It's already a mitzumtzum, a klolis, and then the bechinas was gufa, and then as the oil descends to be invested in each individual olam. Yes, there's further myriads of tzimtzumim ad b'chinas ofen echad ba'aretz. It's like the Navi describes one of the efanim, one of the malachim, therefore, is ba'aretz, and ha'tshek ba'aretz means two evil. Shazel shoyrish mitzias Rabbi explained. That's what he means there. It's not mamish evil, but it's the shoyrish of evil. Milra, towards evil. Mamish helam v'hester likus, opposition to likus. Vad l'riba tzimtzumim, meaning to say that from the ofen echad, as a result of tzimtzumim which follow, sheimshach hachayis lamata b'yoser, that the divine force, energy descends lower still. Lamata gamma gilib shechinas eifanim, lower than their level of the ifanim, of which this is one of the wheels, is pointing or is grounded. And today is bon nezu naserash godel. So this whole is bonus, how far we are from Malikos. This engenders this great tumult, the great rash. So the rash of the chayis, by ifanim v'chayis hakadosh barash godel. So it comes out that it's from the ifanim and even greater v'chayis hakadosh. Not going down, but going up in terms of the rash, going down in terms of level, but in terms of the rash, the tumult, it's greater. So this propels in the chayis hakodesh even the greater rash than the ifanim, the ofen echad. This is the chayis. Looks like the chayis is the ofen echad. And there's a nasa sharoch of lachol alobas fam shochos. So it's dafke this gewalt that opens up and creates this broad gate, this broad entry to all of the essence and all of the amshachas, to a fluid and open direct connection to likus. More than the srafim. The srafim are quite happy where they are. There's no rash, there's no gewalt. Everything is explained. Life is perfect, but for the srafim, for the fan chayis hakodesh, life is far from perfect, and there's the gewalt, and therein lies the connection. Now that Rabbi translates this in Torah, it's often Rabbi Marash's Maamar. Actually, Baruch Hashem, I have the Rabbi Marash's Maamar at home, and it's a relatively new edition, so they bring taka there in the surface of the Sefer Tafresh Lamed Beis. Lamed Beis, it's Chav Beis. That's what this Maamar is based. So what's Tafresh Lamed Beis? The Tafshin Chav Beis is what? 90 years. Sounds good. So they bring taka the Rebbe's Maamar, but at the end there's a sofa. That was my gear at the beginning and end of this Maamar that we're learning. But the body of the Maamar, which we're learning now, is not just quoting the Rebbe Marash. There's biyurim throughout. It's also parts he doesn't quote altogether. There's in some ways more arichas there, in some ways more arichas in the Rebbe's Maamar. At the end, we'll see something interesting soon. That it seems one of the answers to the question the Rebbe does not answer in the Maamar. It happens sometimes. We've encountered it, that there's no answer in the Maamar. But you'll see something interesting. At any rate, so now let's look at it as it is in Torah. Torah also descends. Torah is but it descends to us in our world, in the seichel and all of the inyanim that Torah is mislabish. Torah descended, became invested in human intellect. Such a tremendous yidid is only, of course, through tremendous tzimtzumim. And that is, in our side is, that's the hair, sayar b'smoil, the sheen with the dot on the left. But on this metaphor of hair, which is a metaphor for what, truth is more than a metaphor, it's the physical incarnate of tzimtzum. So on this, the pasuk says in Shir HaShirim, which of course is a description of the love, the very intimate love between the Eibishter and Yidden. She says, Kaitzoitzav til tolim. the locks of his hair. The locks of his hair are, I'm going to look it up. Look it up there, 74. Hey, Yud Aleph. Could be it's braided or curled. That seems to be the diuk. At any rate, the Gemara says, the Medrash says that the word till told him, or till, how is it pronounced even? Could be till silim. What is it? Huh? Hey, Yud Aleph. Curled, okay. And to pronounce it, read it in Lashon HaKodesh. We don't have that. Huh? Taltalim. So tel also means, as in Tel Aviv, means a mound. So Tile, so it says in Medrash, Tile Tilim Shel Halachas, mounds and mounds of halachas. Shekoi al halachas HaTorah. So this kritzes of Tilim, this is the Eibishter gives us Torah, Talim, down here lamata, and we unravel the mounds and mounds of halachas that are curled, that are invested in Torah, that are part of Torah. Pasuk in Mishlei, silsila, you will unravel it and you'll be elevated. Shadei bir of a silsila sidus, through the refinement and the unraveling of the hairs, as it were, lahafid, to separate halachas, to separate each halacha on its own, that there shouldn't be a contradiction to another halacha. There shouldn't be a contradiction one to the other. That's where unraveling and separating the hairs. So the pasuk says, you'll be elevated. So dafket and his Torah comes down the mata, and it comes in seichel and lushi, and it comes in the way that there's kashas and so on and so forth. The person has to through his seichel and lushi understand it and separate. So this dafke here, limud Torah, on such a low level, in other words, the soul is elevated. That's the rash, the gewalt of the fani in the chayes hakodesh, and which creates the shar v'hainu. Shadafke the limud hilchas Torah k'vi sheyod v'misab shebagashmis. Dafke by learning Torah, not the way it is l'mayla, but learning Torah, the way it comes down, descended, and is invested in gashmis. Through the many tzimtzum showing in asidus. That's the sidus. Shar or sar b'smoil, nasa shar b'yamin. This creates the broad path. The whole halos v'amshochos, all of the ascents and the descents. So let's get the context. It's all to explain what, to answer the question how it's possible. Okay, we'll keep on going. The main avodah of creating the broad opening to connect to the Eibishter in the deepest way. He said now was navidat limud Torah and dafka through the halachas and establishing the halachas, learning in such a way that's down to the pale. But the ikar avodah is true. Din avodah the kimatira mitzvahs established dvarim gashmim, because the avodah of Torah and mitzvahs, which take it through the invest in dvarim gashmim, however, is a boyfriend shad dvarim gashmim rak shoylish mitzias hara. In the avodah of Torah and mitzvahs, the person is not dealing with ra; he's dealing with gashmias. Now, gashmias, if it's exploited and through further tzimtzum, it becomes the shoylish of mitzias hara. But everything in Torah the person deals with is mut, has to be menamuta b'fichas, be permissible, even the gashmizik things, with a few exceptions in the Ketores. But overall, everything that we use in Kedusha is permissible. It's a shoylish to mitzias hara. Canal bepirush oifen echad, but it's as we said before, an explanation of the description of one of the wheels was on the ground. The Targum says milra, towards evil. Towards, like it's lura. It's not evil, but it's the source of evil through further tzimtzumim. So in other words, it's klipas noiga. In other words, the shayrish of klipas atzmeis, but it itself is not in the opposing elikus, not contrary to the Eibishter's will. The world of Torah mitzvah is the world of kedusha. He sits and based on meditation and learns. Mashenkin never did the tshuva, but tshuva is the true aliyah. Shilachri yashachota upagam v'avras aderech lashon de Alter Rebbe. It's different dargis. Chota is inadvertent, upagam is blemishes with greater kavana, v'avras aderech, and like he's taken a new path, crossed the road, crossed the line altogether. Pagam is he blemished, compromised. Chota was inadvertent. V'avar is bemazed. So here's already mamash ra. The source of it is Mishviras HaKelim. Why is that negaya to put that in there? It seems that he's saying it because that's the kavan el yoina. That's the hatchila, the kavan el yoina, the began Mishviras HaKelim, should be mitzias ra, and that's where a yid should find himself one way or another. But given shatzimtzum. So since the tzimtzum in our side is sar b'smoil who beyoser, since there the tzimtzum is greater because it's ra. Harigam hara shenase. You
mean seir b'smoil, right?
Yeah. What I say? Yeah. Seir b'smoil. Harigam hara shenase deiser godly yoser. So the tumble, the rash, the gewalt. That's what the Eibishter wants is the gewalt. So that's ever greater. The shar is greater still, even greater than the general avodah of Torah mitzvahs. All right, so we'll get to the next part tomorrow. You can do just a sneak preview. You can see now orders there that there's no teretz, but it looks like there was a teretz in the sichos. The teretz to the ru'ata houses avodah. But wait, we're going ahead. If we have to learn the next day, so we'll see. Be'ez Hashem.